In our day-to-day conversations as well as in writing, we do not rely solely on the use of single-word verbs, rather, we often make use of groups of words that also function as verbs. This brings us to the study of verb phrases in English. What is a verb phrase? A verb phrase is a word or a group of words that function as verbs. What this implies is that it is a grammatical combination of words that act together as a unit in indicating action or a state of being, just like verbs. Take, for instance, can cook. The example above is a verb phrase containing two verbs, the modal auxiliary verb can and a lexical or main verb cook. The verb cook plays the role of the head word in the verb phrase because only main verbs can serve as head words in a verb phrase. Bearing this in mind, verb phrases are phrases that have main verbs as their head word. In other words, verb phrases are phrases that are headed by main verbs. The other elements that accompany them simply serve as modifiers when they appear before the main verb and as qualifiers when they appear after the main verb. Formula for forming verb phrases. All verb phrases follow the same pattern in their formation, hence, a formula was created to account for this pattern. The formula is MHQ, meaning that the main verb is the most important element in a verb phrase and, as a result, it is always present, while modifiers and qualifiers are optional elements of a verb phrase. The letters in brackets indicate that they do not necessarily need to be included in verb phrases, but the only letter without brackets indicates that it is a compulsory element of a verb phrase. Take, for instance, the boys were disciplined by the principal. The verb phrase in the example above is, were disciplined, but if we take away the head word disciplined, the sentence would read, the boys were by the principal. The new sentence is not as coherent as the first, given the context of the meaning being expressed. This goes to show how important a head word is in a verb phrase. Variations of verb phrases. Based on the nature of verb phrases as exemplified by the formula, they are not restricted to a single pattern. Rather, they can exist in 4 variations. MHQ variation. In this variation, modifiers, head words, and qualifiers are present in a verb phrase. Take, for instance, could have been shut down. The modal auxiliary verb could and the primary auxiliary verb have been form the modifier element of the verb phrase. The main verb shut forms the head word since only main verbs are the core of verb phrases, and the particle down forms the qualifier element of the verb phrase. MH variation. In this variation, only modifiers and a head word are present in a verb phrase. Take, for instance, may happen. HQ variation. In this variation, only a head word and qualifiers are present in a verb phrase. Take, for instance, heat up. H variation. In this variation, we have only a head word in a verb phrase because verb phrases cannot exist without a head word. Take, for instance, stand. So, verb phrases are phrases that are composed of one or more words functioning as a verb by indicating action or a state of being. Verb phrases follow a formation pattern known as MHQ and are made up of a main verb functioning as the head word. Understanding verb phrases will better inform you on how to use them effectively in writing. See you soon.